TF2's most popular game mode, where one team pushes a bomb to the enemy base, actually started with no bombs, or any other inanimate objects to push. It was this guy, the Civilian. A special player-controlled class whose goal is to make it from spawn to the exit. One team protects him, and the other needs him dead. In a 2-decade-old interview, Robin Walker said that trying to bring the Civilian into TF2 was what created Payload. But what was so bad about it that the entire bodyguards and assassins idea had to be completely thrown out and replaced with a bomb? We don't know what happened in Valve's playtesting to convince them of Payload, but we do have the 2 maps they made to test the Civilian in TF2 from last year's leak. An exact copy of the original map from the first Team Fortress, visually updated but otherwise zero changes in gameplay, and Valve's remake of the original map for TF2, broadly the same layout but further refined and developed. So, after multiple hours of both maps, what was the problem? You probably expect having a bad Civilian to be the big one, which is valid. No matter how good the bodyguards are, you're not gonna stop a Civilian from holding W into enemy fire. Even if your Civilian is genuinely trying, if they overestimate themselves, whether it be how much damage they can tank, how much damage they can deal, or if they're just bad at dodging shots and die quickly, it does get old losing at no fault of your own. But in the grand scheme of things, playing Civilian is really not that hard. Even if you're bad at the game, it's not hard to just take it slow and inch your way towards the end. Pressing A or D at the right time can be hard, but anyone can hold S and back up from danger. So I think more than just bad Civilian player, there's 2 other bigger problems that probably killed the mode for Valve. First, team composition. In every TF2 game mode, not having a medic sucks, but at worst, winning just becomes much harder rather than impossible. Civilian is practically impossible with no medics. The distance you need to run from spawn to the exit is not short. How would you be able to make it to the exit? Chip damage becomes an actual threat too, and you die of 1,000 cuts. I think having requirements on what classes must be played is a fundamental flaw with the game mode, and probably what made Valve reconsider. It reminds me of ranked Overwatch 1, where players would simply refuse to play tank or support, and rather lose. The game mode is built on keeping one guy alive, but if players simply don't want to play the classes needed to keep the guy alive, it'll fall apart. You can't force players to play medic, so nobody has fun, and Civilian just becomes a frustrating game mode for everyone involved. The second problem is that it's actually pretty boring to play Civilian. Since you can't fight, you stay back and let your team secure the area before you go. You end up being a spectator camera on the sidelines, waiting for your team to kill the assassins. Even if you wanted to take risks, what reward is there to risk for? You can only melee for 35 damage. Risking dying and losing for 35 damage is such terrible risk reward. Sneaking to the exit isn't viable because of sentry guns. So in the end, your gameplay loop is checking your back for spies, surfing enemy damage, and waiting for your team to take space, which got boring quickly. I think this ends up being a significant yet unavoidable problem with the game mode. The entire point is to have a special player that can't die or you lose, yet he can't defend himself, so you have to play him carefully not to screw up, which makes playing him slow and tedious. So I think these 2 problems are the major ones that probably pushed Valve to scrap the Civilian. The game mode over-depends on players picking the right classes, and its special feature isn't even that fun to play, so what's the point anymore? On the bright side, I do think the game mode is unique, and explores a side of TF2 that no other game mode has. When your team does work together, covering different angles, protecting the Civilian, getting him to the exits, it's a different feeling of accomplishment compared to what you normally get in TF2. There's genuinely also bits of immersion. It does feel like being a bodyguard, since you do literally have to watch his back and step in to take damage for him. Can't say I felt like a bomb delivery man or gravel caretaker in other game modes.
This isn't working.